Who is Patrick Shaw? A person who was born in Canada and left here when he was probably around a little bit under a year old. Moved to Paterson, New Jersey. Went to East Side High. So the Joe Clark story, that was my freshman year. So I was doing the movies. I did movies for first 2 years of high school. Played football, played basketball. Came to Canada, back to Canada every summer to visit family members. So for the first 10 years of coming back to Canada, from about 3 to about 10 was going to Spearways, Leslie and Finch. Then after that, my aunt moved to Falstaff. So then I would come here and visit every summer, come to Caravana, blah, blah, blah. And one Caravana I met a young lady and then end up, dating her. So then I started to come here for 3 months, go back, come back for 3 months, go back. And then we started to get serious, and then my firstborn son came. So I was living in Florida at that time doing real estate. So I would come back every 6 months, but he was starting to walk and I was gone. He would talk and I was gone. So I was missing a lot of milestones, so I decided to relocate back to Canada. So that's the beginnings of me in Canada. And, the person who I am, I think from growing up with a single mother, and a lot of great men, Army sergeants, Boy Scouts, coaches, helping me raise me for my mother while she was doing 3 jobs and going to school to get her college education. That made me want to do this. Even though I didn't think so, I did real estate, I did, cash handling, I did a lot of other jobs that probably could have made me a millionaire right now, but I always gravitated back to here. When I was in Florida, I went down there and I worked in Liberty City, which is a large Haitian area, and cops don't come in there unless they have like 20 people deep. And I worked there with the Boys and Girls Club for almost 7 years, and no problems, great change stuff. So I brought all those skill sets from New Jersey and Florida and brought them here. So, so family oriented, community, giving back, tireless worker for the people who really need it. I think that's what embodies who I am. My city life started when I decided that I wanted to come and play ball here. This community center had history before I got here in terms of a lot of the old school players. This was like when I first came here, and I compared it to a place I would compare it to Lurker Park, because some of the best players have played here. Like every player who you can name has played in this community center. There was a lady here named Terry Fernandez Castro. She was running the community center, Uruguayan lady. And she said to me, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Okay, I'll volunteer, because I'm not here too much." So we volunteered, and I said to her, "What do you do?" She said, "I'll teach you how to do my job." So while I was volunteering, I was learning every aspect of how to run this building. Then in 96 or 97, she had a heart attack. She didn't know though, because she was a workaholic and an energetic workaholic. So she had a walking heart attack, and they told her she should take 6 months off. The only person in the building that knew every aspect of the job was me. And so they hired me part-time, full-time, 97, 98, and they said, "Okay, you know what? We'll do an interview. We'll get somebody in here if you don't want to do it." While I was doing the job, I started changing things. I started up one of the most popular men's league. So everybody who's everybody played in it, all the top players. And we dedicated it to all the. I try to bring out all the geographic areas that people didn't touch. And I went to Nike in my early stages. Charles Yearwood, he was real good to me, and he used to let me get stuff, like just pick up stuff. I go to the Nike warehouse and come out with like thousands and thousands of dollars worth of stuff. So the guys got, one of the onus was, you guys are gonna get gear. I'm not giving you trophies. I'll give you one trophy that stays here, but the gear. And we started to do that, and it became popular. You know, people were happy. They were giving away bags and stuff. This is in the 90s, early 2000s. So, you know, people are walking with brand new Nikes, headbands, bags, and these are grown men, so they were happy anyways. And then we started a youth league, and that's when I met Ro in around that time. And Ro was running the Jane and Finch teams, and he had grassroots. And then he said to me, Pat, you know, can't find no gym space. These are the groups I'm dealing with. They have no, you know, they have no gym, they have no money. People don't really deal with them. And I said, well, this is what I do. So we started to change the whole climate of the, and change everything, the culture and everything. So we started to become the mecca of basketball. So then, you know, everybody would come from all over and say, okay, I want to play here, I want to train here. You know, we'd have NBA guys come, like, you know, it's Trace McGrady one day, Cave sat in the back, you know, Marcus Camby, David Stoudemire, Carlos Rogers, like you could name almost every Raptor has come through here, you know. One day I came in, Trace McGrady was watching a kid on the court, he seen that his shoes was ripped, made a phone call. Next morning I had like 10 boxes of shoes sitting there, like for kids just to think. So everybody believed in the culture, you know. I'd go home and tell people about the culture and the players who were coming here, and they're like, you know, we're hearing about this place, we're hearing about this place. So we started to change it more into youth-oriented, because this was more of a either have or have not, so the in-between was lost. So we started doing a lot of programs that encompassed, you know, for the kids and the youth, and, you know, bringing other communities. So this became a safe zone. As bad as for years people would say, Falstaff, no. Once you came to the community center, I had a good relationship with the people in the area. So I identified, like, you know, in America we always do that. We know who's the players and the shot callers. And we go to them and say, listen, these kids don't come, they're not gangbangers, they're not wearing no flags, not wearing no colors. If they come in the community center, they're good. They be like, as long as they don't wear their colors and they come to play ball and they're not disrespecting, they can come. So like I said, if you, like right now, you're here and you look in the gym, just map the areas where the kids are from. They're from every geographic area in the GTA, and they feel safe to come here. One of the things I do is I have an open door policy. If you don't disrespect the area, disrespect the community center, you can come and chill, you can come and vibe. Even if you just want to be around basketball, you see guys and they just want to be around basketball, talk basketball. So that's the culture that's been built, but it's growing every day. The first day I came around Falstaff, which was in the 90s, you know, coming in, I consider myself Canadian born but American by birth, meaning like what made me, right? So when I came around here, you know, to me this is condominiums. This is not no hood. But you had some characters around here who said, like, who's this new guy? He's around here every day. I don't know who he is. You know, I always greet people because that's just how I was taught. I was grown up by an army sergeant, so it was yes sir, no sir. Somebody look you in your eye, you make sure you say yes. You know, hi, how are you doing? So I had some interactions with some of the young guys who were supposed to be running the block, and this is in the early days where it was real, like, crazy. And, you know, I just told them, I'm just here to do a job. I'm here to, you know, work with you however you want and make things happen. And, you know, that was easy. And then talk to them and say, listen, like I said in the earlier stage, these kids are not coming for that. But at the same vein, every area where you have low income, you know, a lack of monies being put into areas, a lack of, you know, father figures, and, you know, and just every signal you could think Falstaff has had it. But as you know and as you see, there's so much good that's come out of this area. I can say, and I can honestly say, I've been in shootouts at Falstaff 4 times.
Me and three workers and two participants were hanging out outside, basically where that guy's standing with the hat. And we were just talking. And then I looked over one of the guy's shoulders and I said, I seen a guy with a red bandana, and I said, that doesn't make any sense. And at the same time I was looking at him, he pulled up the red bandana. And this area, at that time, was the year of the gun, so there was a lot of shooting going on between this territory and Jane and Finch and Jane and Rexdale and Islington in that area. And when I seen the red bandana, I already knew something was going on. So I yelled at one of the security guards and I said, watch your back. So he dove down between 2 cars. He got shot in the leg. One of the participants got shot in the back. Then the guy pulled out a gun and kept on shooting, so he chased one of my friends, close friends, and security guards behind these houses back there. And then they chased me from the middle of the parking lot where that guy's standing, all the way up here, shooting shots up this hill, up this stairs. All the way, there was about 4 or 5 trucks parked back here, so I had to literally hide behind the truck. It was about 10:30, 10 o'clock at night. It was real dark. So I hid behind there for a few minutes. I called the police, let them know that the shooting. Then when I got in touch with them, they had said that they heard that they were shooting and they had cops en route. Matter of fact, there was a couple cops here already. But so they asked me where I was. I said I'm at the park up top. So they had initially came behind the recreation building, so they were looking. So the whole time while they were behind the building looking for me, the shooters were still up here. And a guy in the car who drove the shooters and dropped them off in front of the building actually drove into the same area where I was sitting behind the truck. And then he's saying, I know your ASS is up here. I know you're up here someplace. I know you're up here someplace. So I'm talking to the cop. I'm like, they're right here. And I literally need to make a decision. So the cop said, stay where you at. We're right here. And I said, you guys are in the wrong spot. And they're literally stalking me right now. And I think at that time, the iPhones just came out. So the whole screen had the whole area bright. So I'm like, listen. So I'm talking to them with the phone, like literally on my chest like this. And then you could hear them saying like, I can't hear you. And I'm like, I have to do it this way because they're right next to me. So I said to them, you know what? You guys are taking too long. I could hear the cops by that time. They literally were probably in the parking lot by that time because I guess they told them I'm up on top of the hill. So they were making their way. So they were literally right at this parking lot, that driveway right there. So I said to them, I'm gonna give you guys 5 seconds. If I don't hear anybody, I'm gonna come out in 5 seconds. So radio in to the dispatch that I'm gonna be the one running down the middle of the street. Don't shoot. So literally I just ran out. I towed the yellow line and just ran straight down to them. By that time, they came and grabbed me and said, everything okay? Car went up this way. So with the shooters and everybody turned and went up this way. So they never even caught the shooters. They didn't even know which way the shooters turned. They were so busy congested looking for the shooters down this way. They didn't realize when I was telling them that the shooters are right up here by the truck, they could have easily stopped them and caught them, but it didn't happen. So that's the story. And then of that story, like it was so weird, around about a year or two later, I got a call from somebody, a friend, and he said, Pat, we heard what happened, and I'm an OG from the area, and that would never happen again, because when the guys found out that you were involved, and he was like, yeah, guys know you, and they love you, and that won't happen again. And truthfully, since that incident, this has been probably around 7-8 years, or probably even longer than that, there's never been a shooting at the community center. Not saying it hasn't been a shooting around the buildings, but it hasn't literally been at the community center. Knock on wood, because anything could happen, but it hasn't. And so sometimes I think it's a testament of what you do and how you treat people in your character, that somebody involved in another life would still say, yo, you're a good person, no matter what this area or somebody from this area did to our people from our area, we don't want to violate what you're doing here. So the community center has been pretty good. It's been a safe haven since I've been here. There hasn't been any major incidents on the community center property other than that one. And it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good.
I literally ran from the parking lot, ran up to the top of the hill, and 11 shots went after me. I have a shoe, my Timberlands, up to this day, I kept the boot. It has a bullet hole in it, and my jacket has a bullet hole.
I walked, and one guy was shooting one way, the other guy was shooting. I literally seen like the Matrix, the bullet zing past my head and hit the door. And by that time, the front door is locked. And I was like in no land. So like where you are compared to where I am, my car was parked right in front. It was easier for me to walk to my car. So I literally bent down, crawled to my car, and sat in my car and watched these two guys shoot like about another 8 or 9 shots past each other. And I'm like, that could have been my first and last couple of days on earth. Just it went past my head. The bullet, when the cops came, they were like, oh yeah, we see where it hit. And I'm like, that's where I was standing. He goes, oh, it went right past your head. I said, I know, I was telling you that. Like, oh, I have no reason to lie. So it's like, like in America, I've been in fights, I've been in gang fights, I've been in everything, but I've never been shot after 4 or 5 times, much less 4 or 5 separate incidents. So, like I said, when people think that Canada's soft and it's not real, it is real over here. And like, people in power need to understand that. Like these kids, they go through trauma. Like I've been talking to people and I'm saying like these kids are just like the equivalent of kids who are in war-torn areas, because when you have to, especially around the year of the gun, when you have kids didn't want to come outside. We literally had to go to the buildings and walk them across to the community center because their parents were so afraid that something might happen to them or they might be targeted. And I couldn't even lie because I'm saying it happened to me. So I can't even say, hey, it won't happen because they're coming to the community center when they're going to say, hey, Pat, you got shot after. So, my kids stayed in the house. We literally have to walk them to the building to walk them across and do almost like a walking school bus, just to make sure that they were good because it was just so crazy at the time. And it took almost a year to kind of get the people and the participants and the kids feeling comfortable, because they'd come in and say, I'm scared. Even the staff were saying, listen, I'm afraid, because I got to walk from the bus stop through this. So they used to walk on the opposite side of the street and then cross like right here. It was real. And that story was going on in Malvern, going on in Rexdale, going on in Driftwood, top and bottom, Jungle. So it wasn't like it was just localized to here. It was a crazy year. So yeah.
The shooting that happened with me and my 3 counterparts, there's never been a shooting that city or government working staff in Canada has ever been targeted. When we went to do the court and we went to do the assessments, they couldn't find one jurisprudence in Canada. They had to find stuff in Texas and LA, and that's how they made their house. So through our shooting, every city building now has panic alarms, buttons, better lighting, where years ago, like, these places would be like, oh, don't worry about it. So if anything good came out of that, it's now that most of the hood areas, most of the community centers are safe.
Well, I think I was with Grassroots. So the rationale by starting my own organization, I was with Grassroots helping Coach Rowe behind the scenes for maybe about 15, 16 years, or maybe even longer since his inception. So me and Rowe did it for a while, and I kind of got disenfranchised. So I started putting more energy into the community center and the music and all that kind of stuff. So I just went a different way for a while. I needed a year off because I was just getting burnt out. And the new age parents, they weren't really thankful. They almost was like, you had to do it. And I was like, no, I don't. My own kids are playing ball. My son started playing hockey, a sport I don't know nothing about. So I was like, you know what? I gotta get better at this, because my son's real good. Like, he's like the next thing. And I don't know how the hell that happened, but because I don't know nothing about it. I can't even stand on ice for 5 minutes without my feet freezing. So I started paying attention to that. But then my little cousin, Cheyenne, who plays ball, she's in the gym now training. She's like the next thing across. And we brought her to all different types of gyms. I brought her to, different organizations, and they would just use her as like almost like a show. Because she would come in and score 3-4 points and then sit on the bench when she was better than 3 or 4 of the boys on the team. So I said, you know what, I'm just gonna make a team. So that's how Sisters Keeper happened. So I came up with the name Sisters Keeper, and the whole concept is on it because, like how you are your brother's keeper, you're a sister's keeper. So it's not by blood. It's by the commonality of the dream and the vision and the focus on what we're going on. And then I said that in that dream, it has to be an education base. And then we started to win. So we went on like a 20-0, like win streak against some of the top teams on both sides of the border. And then what made it good is that we were like, at that time, we were like 11 and 12, still playing against 17 and 18-year-olds. People like, who the hell are these kids competing? So we started getting notoriety, and then the kids just started getting better. And then parents started knocking on the door, bringing their kids. Some of the kids who didn't really love ball, they went into different aspects. But then we started, we went from, in the space of 6 months, we went from 1 team to 4 girls teams. So now we're at 4 girls teams, and they're doing real good. Then one of my friends came to me and said, Pat, we have a boys team, but we have nowhere to go. So I said, okay, we'll start the brothers keeper, but the tenets are the same. And if you guys can't do that, then we're just gonna squash everything. So then in the space of 7 months after that conversation, we went from 1 boys team to 18 boys team. And it just started growing. So then I was with this, one of my charities, I went hard because I said, it's 18, we're looking at 20-something kids, 20-something teams. So we started to fundraise, and we got, we fundraised, and my charity made $2.2 million 3 years ago, and we gave it all back to the kids. So, we signed them up for tournaments, we got them exposure, we got them 2 full-time tutors. So for the full year, they got 2 full-time tutors, and all the grades exponentially went up. And then after the beginning of last year, one of the parents, which is like, he's a millionaire, diamond broker, his kid's actually in the gym now, he seen Cheyenne and said, I think you guys should come to Crestwood. I said, yeah, that'd be good. He said, the principal just got hired. He's from Ohio, and he loves ball. And our school has been losing the same bikes in all these big schools for years. What do you think? I said, I got more than 1 girl, and I'm not gonna leave one out. So we went to 2, Then we negotiated 3, then we negotiated 4, and then by the time we were done, it was 9. And then, they were looking for a coach, and I said, I think Coach Rowe would be the right person. You can talk about the past all you want, but there's no greater mind. He started all this stuff. Like, when I came here, he was the only one doing it. Everybody else, all the coaching trees, you look for Jayson, you look for Canada Elite, you look for CYBL, all those guys came through his basketball teams. So all the major, you look at Northern Kings, that's Vidal played for Rowe. It's like when you look at all the players that have been around and they're coaching, that's his tree, basketball tree is all of them. So I said, what you should do is let him coach, and you guys do what you need to do. Because if he can just focus on coaching and getting these kids scholarships, you guys will have no problems. He will build you a program with the supports. All the past stuff came because he didn't have the supports. And as I said, he had to be the coach, manager, fundraiser, da-da-da. And you have kids coming from the hood that don't like structure. So when you bring them to America, they're gonna wild out. And there's mistakes gonna happen, like with everything. And I always told him, I said, you're the trailblazer. So any trailblazer there's gonna be bumps in the roads. And what happens is now the people who are coming, now they can say, okay, I won't do that. Okay, they have a template that they can go by so they don't make the same mistakes. So I use a lot of the things that I learned from him, a lot of stuff that I've seen in America growing up, and things that I wanted to do if I ever ran a basketball organization. I framed it in that. So now you're looking at, we have kids at Crestwood, we have kids at the Tech, and we're looking to do more prep schools where these kids now can come out of the hood, because the kids from the girls team especially, they were struggling in public school, in regular courses. They're now doing university academia courses, and every single one of the girls who went to Crestwood, all 9, are on the honor roll. So nobody can tell me that the model doesn't work. It shows that if you put the time in, you have the supports, you have the teachers in the school that put 100% of their monies, assets, and everything to make these girls succeed, and they're in the honor roll. In the first year. The girls who are in 8th grade just finished taking 9th grade courses and have passed 9th grade classes. So nobody can tell me that these kids in the hood are not smart. They're over smart, but they need somebody to match their intensity. It's just crazy the things that they know. But now it's how you channel it. So these type of organizations that encompass, if we can encompass the school, the culture, the societal, and then and frame it around the sports, then you're great like that. And that's the whole gist of Brothers Keeper, Sisters Keeper.
Patrick has been a great influence. Like, he helped us around the community. Even times where I felt like giving up, he always pushed me and said, come to the gym, come work on your handles, come get better. And I've gotten a lot better over the 2 years that I started playing basketball. And he's the one that makes me succeed more, and he's never given up on me, and he's always seen me for who I am.
That's what influenced Patrick helps me with off the court is he helps me stay focused, for example, school. He helps me in homework, if I'm having trouble with homework, he helps me out a lot. When I'm bored, he makes us come together as a team and stuff, and do things so we can our chemistry can get better.
He has given us a lot of influences on the court. He influences us to do better, even though we miss a shot. He tells us to keep shooting. Also off the court, he will tell us get in the gym, make sure in the gym. He will hit us up, even though the gym's not open, he will tell us come to the gym.
He always teaches us to, when we're in public, just act as if we have some discipline and have respect for others if they were to have respect for us.
Patrick has influenced me off the court by just encouraging me to be a better person, caring person like him, and just always telling me to work on my game.
He has brought me to previous games to watch, to take in the game of basketball. Also, he has influenced me to come to the gym more often, and that's how I got better on my game.
Patrick has done a lot for my game because he's always encouraging me to work on my weaknesses and to work when no one's watching. So for that, I admire him.
On the sideline, he's always talking to us about what type of defense we should play, hands off, all that type of stuff. And he basically tells us try our best and success will just come easily.
The type of influence Patrick has put me on my game is like, he helps me get better a lot. Like, for example, the time where I first started, I wasn't really confident in myself, and Patrick like helped me like have more confidence in myself, to get like more moves and stuff. And he's a person that you can count on. Like, if you have nothing to do, call him. He'll tell you to come to the gym, help me like post moves, dribbling, all those type of stuff, so I can get better at my game in the future.
Oh, on the court, like, he sits like right beside us on the bench, and he basically mentors me. Like, so like even when times where I could get like rushy and like scared, he always calms me down and tells me like what to do.
This property and this courts are not as used as much as we use it in America, because the building 9 months out of the year they're inside. So these courts in about 97, the Raptors Maple Leaf Foundation had given us some money to resurface the court. It used to be 2 tennis courts, so for years it was tennis courts that wasn't really used. So the Raptors resurfaced it, and with some city money, and then we turned it into like the upstairs cage. My dream for it was to have like a kind of Rucker Park kind of feel out here. But Canadian kids don't play ball outside. They have so much community centers, so I kept that cage up to kind of give it that cage feel. You know, people should be hanging off of the fences. You know, it didn't turn out that way. But so this court it hasn't been used the way I thought it should have been used. So one of my future dreams or plans is to kind of see if we could ever find some money and turn this into like a field house. So get a bubble, cover it over, wood court it, and then turn it into another gym, because as you see inside the gym in there, it's not big enough. But if you look at this is a regulation size basketball court. You could easily put some stands up in here, bleachers up in here, and you know, this could be crazy. 2 full-size courts going on outside, and you could have a real nice field, you know, 12 months out of the year versus just 1. So I have a dream for it. It hasn't come yet, but and then, you know, when you're looking at the building up there where we were standing earlier, you could have people up there watching the games from off so just that crazy feel. Maybe put some music up there and kind of bring like that community kind of basketball back, like how Rucker Park is, or the Drew League in America, I mean in California is. So that is my dream. This is the upstairs court. We're going to be closed for 10 months in renovation, so hopefully in that time I'll find that money from a private lender or somebody that will do something for the kids around here. So that's the last part of it right here. This is the last piece. If we can get this done, something nice done to up here, it's going to be crazy, real crazy. That situation it let me know that, because I was just in work mode. I was really just trying to do things, trying to make changes, kind of just at times I think even being selfish to my family and people who are close to me, because I was so busy entrenched in what I was doing. And I think that kind of brought back mortality. Like, hey, you can be gone, so I'm paying more attention to, you know, my own kids, my own family, you know, people who are close to me. It became more important. And also, it also made me grind a little bit more. So it almost had a counter effect too, because now I really wanted to do stuff on a bigger level, where before it was just real localized. That was the turning point where I realized that, you know what, these kids they're doing reactionary stuff, and it's through a lack of knowledge, lack of leadership, that they're not really learning. And for an OG who used to be in this life say, Pat, that's never going to happen again, that shows that you need people who have been in a life, but also people who are not going to walk away from them when they make that mistake, and educate them and say, okay, I'm going to vouch for what you did and try to straighten it out, but don't do that again. And they listen, right? So that's a testament to the, you know, that there's still people out there that can help you do your job. So yeah, it woke me up in many different ways. But like I said, this is why where I'm at now, because that kind of let me know that time is limited, right? It's not promised to nobody. We put in a grant for chess tables at the front of the building, and the year of the gun, I had to close. We had to take up all the chess. There was 4 chess tables out there because we wanted the kids to start learning how to play chess and checkers and just play a different sport, a different game. And we used to play chess with them and checkers with them every day, and then, you know, dominoes on the 4 tables. And guess what? We had to pick them up because they became a target. Like one of the drive-by shooters just shot right in the area where kids were just playing, and it was little kids there too. So we had to take up the bench. We had to take up the 4 tables. That's the bench up there that you see there. That red bench used to be in the front. A tree in the middle of the park, and they called it the family tree. So for over 30 years, people used to come to that tree and sit down, relax at. So that's where this. So we said, you know what? They cut down the tree because a young boy got killed while he was hanging out. Somebody came and shot in that area, and he got killed. So they cut it down because they thought it was a place where it was all hanging out. So when these guys, York University came to me one day, said they wanted to have some art students. So I was like, paint your vibe, but I want a tree. But I want a tree that's spanning all throughout the community. So this is what they came up with. A bunch of young kids too, like around, I would say about like 16, 17, 18. So that's the whole concept of the family tree. And this bench used to be in front of the community center. And then the year of the guns, all the young boys used to hang out. So when it was drive-by shootings, there was like 20 people sitting and trying to hitch up on the side of the bench, like you see, like all over it. So I took out the bench, but I said I'm not gonna throw it away, so I put it up here. So now when people want to come and vibe, like the young boys that want to vibe, but boys and girls, they want to vibe. Sometimes we throw the barbecue out, cook some food for them. So that's what this is about. But I said I'm not throwing that away because the kids, they love sitting on it and just talking. Like some of the elders, like, you know, who are gone, like this one lady used to come every morning. She used to bring me a tea, and me and her used to sit there for an hour. God rest her soul. She died of cancer. Her daughter plays ball, like, and now gives giving back to the community. She has her own basketball association. And yeah, that was the bench that we used to sit on every morning for about an hour and just talk before I started my day. And so I said, I'm not throwing it away. I'm gonna keep it. It has memories, it has history.